What if I told you that the greatest fortune you could ever possess is already within you? Not out there in the world, but right here, in your mind. Most people spend their lives chasing wealth, opportunities, and validation, believing that something out there will finally make them feel fulfilled. But here's the truth, nothing outside you can give you what you haven't already claimed inside yourself. Every invention, every empire, every movement that changed the world, started as a thought. Just one idea, held with conviction. Think about it. The airplane began as a thought in the Wright brothers' minds. The light bulb? A thought in Edison's imagination. Even your favorite song, your favorite movie, it all started as a whisper in someone's soul. So, let me ask you this, what thoughts are you giving power to? Because thoughts are seeds. And the universe is the soil. Whatever you plant, grows. If you plant fear, you harvest limitation. If you plant belief, you harvest miracles. But here's the secret most people miss, the soil doesn't care what you plant. It will grow whatever seed you give it. That's why it's so important to guard your mind like a treasure chest. There's a story about a man who worked at a small company. Every day, he'd tell himself, I'll never be rich. I'm just not lucky like others. He repeated it so much that it became his truth. His thoughts created his boundaries. And then there's another man, same background, same struggles, but every morning he'd say, I am destined for something greater. I don't know how yet, but I'll find a way. That belief pulled him toward opportunity. Not because magic happened, but because his mind opened to see what was always there. Your mind doesn't just think thoughts, it creates realities. Every time you visualize, you send an order to the universe. Every time you feel gratitude before the blessing arrives, you magnetize it toward you. Let's be honest, how often do we use this power against ourselves? We think of what could go wrong instead of what could go right. We replay the past instead of imagining a new future. We let fear build walls around the very dreams that could set us free. But here's the turning point. You don't need to get power. You just need to remember you already have it. The infinite source within you, call it God, energy, spirit, consciousness, it's not outside you. It's been waiting for you to wake up. Think about this, a seed doesn't look like a tree. It looks like nothing special. But within that small shell lies everything needed to create life. Your ideas are the same. You might look at your dream and think, how could this ever happen? But just like the seed, your dream already contains everything required for it to grow, the talent, the timing, the path. It just needs your belief. Belief is the sunlight. Action is the water. And persistence is the soil that holds it all together. So if your life doesn't look like what you imagine yet, don't give up. You're just in the growing season. Keep watering your thoughts with faith. Keep nurturing your dreams with action. And one day, what's invisible will become undeniable. When I was younger, I used to think success meant struggle, long nights, endless stress, and constant competition. But then I realized, it's not about working harder, it's about aligning deeper. When your thoughts match your purpose, things start to flow. Opportunities appear. People show up. Doors open you didn't even know existed. That's the power of the infinite source within. It's not luck, it's alignment. And alignment begins with awareness. So today, ask yourself. Am I thinking from fear or faith? Am I creating from lack or abundance? Am I focused on what's missing, or what's possible? Because the moment you shift your thoughts, your reality begins to bend with them. You are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the author of them. So from this moment on, choose thoughts that serve you. Speak words that lift you. Act as if it's already done. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect timing. You only need one decision, to awaken the infinite source within. Because once you do, fortune doesn't just come to you. It flows through you. Here are some key points related to this. Thoughts create reality. Every idea, success, or failure begins as a thought. The mind is fertile soil. Whatever beliefs you plant, grow, whether positive or negative. Belief activates potential. Faith turns invisible dreams into visible results. You already have the power. The infinite source is not outside you, it's within you. Alignment over struggle. Success flows naturally when thoughts match purpose. You are the creator. Your thoughts, words, and actions are shaping your future every day. Everything begins with a thought. Before the skyscraper touched the clouds, before the first rocket tore through the silence of space, before every billion-dollar company and every life-changing idea, there was a single invisible thought floating in someone's mind. That's where it all starts, in the quiet corners of imagination. Most people overlook this truth because thoughts seem small, weightless, unimportant. But that's the illusion. Thoughts are the architects of reality. They design what your eyes will one day see and what your hands will one day hold. Imagine standing before an empty plot of land. There's nothing but dirt and silence. Then an architect arrives, not with bricks, not with machines, but with a vision. In their mind, they already see the building, the glass walls reflecting sunlight, the lobby filled with laughter, the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls. That vision, invisible to everyone else, becomes the blueprint for what's to come. The same happens within you. Every dream you hold, every goal you whisper to yourself in the dark, is a mental blueprint waiting to be built in the physical world. There's a reason Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Those aren't just words, they're a law of creation. Your outer world is a mirror reflecting the inner world of your thoughts. Think small, and life contracts to fit that image. Think expansively, and life expands to match it. The universe listens to the energy of your thoughts more than the sound of your words. It hears the frequency of belief, not the noise of doubt. Think of Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed attempts didn't stop him because, in his mind, the light bulb already existed. He wasn't trying to create light, he was trying to bring forth what he had already seen inside himself. That's the power of thought. It gives you a glimpse of what's possible before the world catches up. The tragedy is that most people never give their thoughts enough room to grow. They let fear interrupt the process. They say, "Who am I to dream that big?" and the dream fades before it even breathes. You see, your thoughts are not harmless, they are instructions to your future. Every complaint, every doubt, every self-criticism is a seed planted in the soil of your mind. If you constantly tell yourself you're not enough, you'll start walking through life proving it true. But if you dare to tell yourself you're destined for something greater, the world starts rearranging itself around that belief. It's not magic, it's focus. You begin to see what was always there but hidden by fear. A woman once said, "I started pretending I already had the life I wanted. I thought like her, walked like her, spoke like her. And one day, I realized I had become her." That's how it works. You don't wait for evidence before you think differently, you think differently until the evidence appears. Because every fortune, every miracle, every transformation begins with one simple act, a new thought. Your mind is the most fertile soil you'll ever possess. Every day, you're planting seeds through your thoughts, some you do intentionally, others unconsciously. And just like real soil, your mind doesn't decide what grows, it simply nurtures whatever you plant. That's both the most empowering and the most dangerous truth about human potential. If you plant seeds of faith, confidence, and gratitude, they'll bloom into opportunities, growth, and peace. But if you plant fear, doubt, and resentment, they'll take root just as deeply, choking out everything beautiful that tries to rise. The mind is loyal to the gardener, not to the seed. Imagine a vast field at dawn, soft earth glistening, mist hanging low. You stand there holding two kinds of seeds in your hands, one labeled belief, the other fear. Whatever you toss into that soil, the earth will embrace it without question. It won't say, "Wait, are you sure you want that?" It will simply respond, "As you wish." That's how your subconscious works. It doesn't argue or analyze, it absorbs. That's why the stories you repeat to yourself, whether empowering or limiting, eventually take shape in your life. There's a story about two farmers. Both had identical fields, the same weather, and the same tools. The first farmer woke each morning saying, "This land is blessed. Whatever I sow will multiply." The second farmer, tired and bitter, grumbled, "Nothing ever grows for me." By the end of the season, the first farmer's field overflowed with crops, while the second's lay nearly barren. Same soil. Different seeds. Their words, shaped by their thoughts, became self-fulfilling prophecies. Life isn't biased, it reflects the energy you project. Dr. Joseph Murphy once wrote, "The subconscious mind does not engage in proving whether your thoughts are good or bad, true or false, it responds to the nature of your thoughts." If you say, "I'm always unlucky," your subconscious goes to work making that true. If you say, "Everything works in my favor," it starts aligning circumstances to support you. It's not superstition, it's psychology. The patterns you rehearse in your mind become the script for your future. Think about the people who radiate positivity. It's not that their lives are easier, it's that they tend their inner garden with care. They pull out weeds, self-doubt, jealousy, regret, before they spread. They water their minds with affirmations and gratitude. And eventually, they live in a reality that reflects that internal landscape. Then there are those who let their gardens run wild, filled with thoughts of limitation, worry, and comparison. They wonder why nothing seems to work out, never realizing they've been growing thorns instead of flowers. Your mind will always mirror the seeds you give it. Whisper, "I can," and it starts finding ways. Whisper, "I can't," and it stops looking. The soil doesn't care, it's just doing its job. That's why mastering your inner dialogue is the greatest skill you can ever learn. Because when you finally understand that your mind is a living garden, you stop blaming the seasons and start planting differently. Belief is the spark that turns the invisible into the undeniable. It's the silent force that whispers, "Keep going," when logic screams, "Give up." Every great achievement that has ever existed was fueled by someone's belief that what they envisioned was possible even when no evidence supported it. Belief is the bridge between thought and reality, the unseen energy that transforms imagination into form. Without it, ideas remain daydreams, potential stays locked, and destiny lies dormant. But with it, the impossible begins to take shape before your very eyes. Imagine a young artist who paints every night after work. Her apartment is small, her brushes are old, and her bank account is nearly empty. Friends tell her to be realistic, to get a stable job and stop chasing fantasies. But when she paints, something inside her feels alive, aligned, unstoppable. She sees herself one day showcasing her work in galleries, even though today she's just painting in the corner of a dimly lit room. Her belief becomes her companion, her silent investor. And because she holds that belief so fiercely, opportunities begin to appear. A local cafe wants to hang her paintings, a stranger commissions a portrait, and soon her art starts earning more than her job ever did. What changed? The external world didn't suddenly shift, her inner world did. Belief is magnetic. It draws circumstances, people, and ideas toward its frequency. That's why two people can walk through the same storm and one sees danger while the other sees a chance to grow stronger. The world bends to match the strength of your conviction. There's an old saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's simple, but it's a law of life. Your belief defines your ceiling. You can never outperform your self-image. Consider the story of Roger Bannister. For decades, scientists claimed it was physically impossible for a human to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Experts insisted the body would collapse under such strain. Bannister believed otherwise. He trained not just his body but his mind, repeating the vision over and over until it became more than a goal, it became his reality before the stopwatch ever proved it. And when he finally broke the barrier, something remarkable happened. Within months, other athletes began doing it too. The limitation wasn't physical, it was mental. His belief expanded the boundaries for everyone who came after him. Belief is like a lens, it determines what you notice and what you ignore. A person who believes they're lucky starts noticing coincidences and chances others overlook. A person who believes they're cursed sees proof of misfortune everywhere they go. Both live in the same world, but through different filters. That's why belief is never neutral, it's always creating. When you start to believe, truly believe, something inside you shifts. You walk differently. You speak with conviction. You radiate certainty before results arrive. And the universe responds to that vibration. Belief is not blind faith, it's inner knowing. It's saying, I may not see it yet, but it's already mine. And that energy is unstoppable, you don't need to look for power outside yourself, you already have it. It's been there since the day you took your first breath, hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and conditioning. The infinite source within you isn't something you need to earn, beg for, or discover in a book. It's your birthright. But somewhere along the way, the world taught you to forget it. From childhood, you were told what you could and couldn't do, what was possible and what wasn't, who you were allowed to become and who you shouldn't try to be. Slowly, your inner flame dimmed under the weight of shoulds and can'ts. Yet that power never left, it simply waited for you to remember. Think of a river that's been blocked by stones over the years. The water is still there, powerful and endless, but it can't flow freely until the obstacles are cleared. That's how your inner power works. Life doesn't give it to you, life only gives you moments to uncover it. The truth is, the power to heal, to create, to attract, to rise, it's not outside in the stars or in someone else's approval. It's inside your own consciousness, flowing like a river beneath the noise of your daily thoughts. There's a story of a man who spent his life searching for treasure. He traveled from country to country, working odd jobs, saving money just to keep moving. After decades, he returned home, exhausted and empty-handed. One night, while sitting in the garden of his old house, he started digging absent-mindedly in the dirt. His shovel hit something solid. Curious, he kept digging until he found a small chest buried beneath the ground. Inside it was gold, enough to change his life forever. The treasure had been under his feet all along. That's how most of us live. We chase meaning, love, and success everywhere else, never realizing the gold was buried within us the whole time. The great mystics and thinkers have always said the same thing in different ways. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." The Buddha taught, "Look within, thou art the Buddha." Carl Jung wrote, "Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes." They were all pointing to the same timeless truth, everything you seek already exists within the infinite source of your own being. When you awaken to that, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop begging for miracles and start becoming one. Imagine a woman who's been struggling for years to find her purpose. She tries new jobs, reads self-help books, attends workshops, but nothing seems to click. One day, she sits alone in silence and asks herself, what if I already have what I've been looking for? That single question shifts everything. She begins to listen, to the quiet voice within that had been drowned out by noise. She starts painting again, something she loved as a child but had abandoned because it didn't seem practical. Within months, her art touches hearts, and her purpose unfolds naturally. The power wasn't in the books, the seminars, or the opinions of others, it was in her own intuition waiting to be trusted. You don't awaken the infinite source by striving harder or doing more. You awaken it by remembering. By quieting the noise long enough to hear your own soul whisper, you were never powerless. The same energy that spins galaxies beats in your chest right now. The same intelligence that turns a seed into a forest lives in your thoughts, your words, your desires. When you realize that, you stop asking, "Can I?" and start declaring, "I am." The problem is never the absence of power, it's the presence of doubt. You don't need to find strength, you need to stop believing you lost it. You don't need more light, you need to move the clouds that cover it. The infinite source within you has always been guiding, creating, and expanding. Every moment you choose faith over fear, intuition over logic, purpose over pressure, you reconnect with that source. You begin to flow again. And when you live from that place, you no longer wait for miracles. You become the proof that miracles exist, that there's a quiet moment that happens when you finally stop fighting life and start flowing with it. That's the moment alignment begins. For so long, we've been taught that success comes from struggle, from pushing harder, grinding longer, and sacrificing more. But real power doesn't come from exhaustion, it comes from connection. It's not about how much effort you put in, but how aligned your effort is with your purpose. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, everything starts to move with a kind of grace that hard work alone can't explain. You stop forcing and start attracting. You stop chasing and start receiving. Think of a surfer waiting for the perfect wave. He doesn't thrash against the ocean or demand it to rise on his command. He studies the rhythm, feels the current, and positions himself in harmony with the tide. Then, when the moment comes, he rides effortlessly on the same wave that could have drowned him if he resisted it. That's alignment, the art of working with the current of life, not against it. Most people exhaust themselves trying to swim upstream, forcing outcomes that aren't meant for them, trying to make timing bend to their will. But alignment says, be still, listen, trust. When you align with what you were meant to do, your energy multiplies instead of depleting. There's a story of a man who spent years building a business he didn't love. He worked tirelessly, sacrificing sleep, family, and peace of mind just to keep it running. He thought he was being disciplined, but inside, he was disconnected. Every decision felt heavy, every day like a battle. One night, in frustration, he asked himself, "Why does this feel so hard?" The answer came quietly, because it wasn't aligned with who he truly was. He realized he had built something impressive on the outside but hollow on the inside. So he made the terrifying decision to let it go. Within a year, he began a new business centered around helping others, something that filled him with purpose. And suddenly, everything that once felt like struggle began to flow. Opportunities appeared, partnerships blossomed, and even money came easier. The same man, same effort, but this time, aligned with his purpose. The universe responds to alignment like a magnet responds to steel. When your thoughts match your desires and your actions match your faith, life can't help but move in your favor. You start meeting the right people at the right time, hearing the right words when you need them, stumbling upon opportunities you didn't even know existed. That's not coincidence, that's coherence. It's the moment your energy and your destiny meet each other halfway. Wayne Dyer once said, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." Alignment begins with that shift in perception. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" you start asking, "What feels right for me?" You start tuning into your intuition instead of your fear. You begin to see that the universe doesn't reward suffering, it rewards clarity. The more clearly you know who you are and what you stand for, the more life organizes itself around that truth. Alignment doesn't mean life becomes perfect. Storms will still come, but you'll move through them differently. You'll stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start realizing, "This is happening for me." Every challenge becomes a compass redirecting you closer to your center. Every delay becomes divine timing. You begin to understand that when something feels forced, it's not yours to keep, and when something feels right, no amount of resistance can take it away. When your thoughts match your purpose, you no longer hustle for your worth. You stop living in survival mode and start living in creation mode. Your energy changes, and so does your reality. You attract opportunities not because you're chasing them, but because you've become the kind of person who naturally draws them in. That's the quiet power of alignment, where effort feels like ease, where work feels like purpose, and where success feels like peace. You are the creator of your life, whether you realize it or not. Every thought, every word, every decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your reality. Some people wait for life to happen to them, while others wake up and realize they are the ones holding the paintbrush. The truth is, you are not a spectator in your story, you are the author. What you think, you write. What you believe, you manifest. What you act on, you bring to life. Most people hand their pen to others, to fear, to doubt, to circumstance, and wonder why their story feels so unfamiliar. But the moment you reclaim it, the moment you say, "This is my life," the narrative begins to change. Imagine standing before a blank canvas. At first, it feels intimidating. You're tempted to copy someone else's picture, something already proven, something safe. But deep down, there's an image only you can create, a vision that belongs to your soul. Each color you choose represents a belief. Each stroke is an action. If you paint with fear, the result will look chaotic and uncertain. But if you paint with intention, courage, and trust, your life begins to take on a beauty that no one else could have imagined for you. There's a story of a woman who grew up being told she wasn't smart enough to be successful. She carried that belief like a chain, shaping every decision around it. She avoided opportunities that scared her, stayed silent in rooms where she should have spoken, and watched others rise while she convinced herself she wasn't ready. One day, after losing a job she thought defined her, she sat down and wrote something she'd never dared to write before. What if I've been wrong about myself? That one thought cracked her shell open. She began to speak her ideas, apply for roles that terrified her, and trust her voice. Within 2 years, she was leading the kind of work she once thought she was unqualified for. She didn't change who she was, she changed who she believed she was. Life doesn't respond to what you wish for, it responds to what you believe about yourself. Every moment you say, "I can't," you build a wall. Every moment you say, "I can," you build a bridge. You are constantly creating, whether consciously or unconsciously. Even inaction is creation, it's creating stagnation. That's why awareness is so powerful. Once you see that you're the one steering the ship, you stop blaming the wind. You start adjusting your sails. Think of someone who constantly says, "I never have good luck." That thought becomes a command to the universe. They'll walk past opportunities because they don't expect to find them. They'll ignore solutions because their mind is tuned to problems. But another person, who says, "Good things always find me," will notice blessings others miss. The same world, but two entirely different experiences, because the creator behind each reality is thinking differently. Jim Carrey once said, "As far as I can tell, it's just about letting the universe know what you want and working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass." That's what creation truly is, clarity plus faith plus action. You don't need to know every step. You just need to take the first one and trust that the next will reveal itself. The universe moves for those who move with conviction. When you realize you are the creator, you stop waiting for signs, you start being one. You stop seeking permission, you start giving yourself power. You stop replaying the past, you start rewriting the future. Your mind becomes your workshop, your words your tools, and your emotions the energy that brings it all to life. Every masterpiece begins messy. Every story starts uncertain. But the courage to keep creating, despite the chaos, despite the doubt, is what turns ordinary lives into legends. And yours is waiting for your next stroke. You've always had the power. It was never missing, it was only forgotten. Every dream you've postponed, every vision you've doubted, every moment you've told yourself, "Not yet," was just life waiting for you to remember who you are. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are becoming. Right here, right now, the infinite source within you is awake, waiting for your command. Don't wait for the perfect time, create it. Don't wait for the right opportunity, be it. Don't wait for the signs, you are the sign. The world doesn't change when you wish, it changes when you decide. Decide to believe again. Decide to think differently. Decide to act from the place of power, not fear. Every time you choose faith over doubt, the universe rearranges itself in your favor. Every time you speak life into your dreams, they start to breathe. Every time you take one small step toward your purpose, life takes 10 toward you. The door you've been waiting for isn't locked, it's waiting for you to knock with conviction. So rise. Speak. Create. Believe. Because you are not here to survive, you are here to awaken. You are not here to chase fortune, you are here to become it. You are not here to search for light, you are here to remember you are the light. The world is waiting for your spark, your voice, your vision. Don't dim it one more day. Because when you awaken the infinite source within, your support means everything. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. You don't just change your life. You change everything. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.